Hey everybody, welcome to Valentine TV. Sorry about that. But uh Tisa's outside of the courthouse where she was, and she gave us a recap. And so I'm gonna play it for you in case you missed it. But she's gone back because I just saw something that Gene Deal was gonna be a surprise witness. That's what I seen. I just read it on somebody's page. I don't even know the people, but anyway, that's why she ran off and ran back in there. All right. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a reaction from her outside recap, and please get it right. Me and Tisa's video we be here. We go, y'all. Please hit that like and subscribe, please. Thank you.
Trial, there has been a shocking turn of events. Here's my fit check. Oops. There's a fit check. There's been a shocking turn of events. Dawn was on the stand. She gave that same groundbreaking testimony, but you guys, something has changed. Some people say this didn't go good for Dawn. The prosecution tried to make a comeback, but y'all, this might change everything. You guys, we are day 6 live from the Diddy trial. Let's get into it. The girl was live in the main courtroom, not in the overflow room, watching and seeing everything. You guys, I don't know what to think of this. However, we are going to make sense. This changes everything. Diddy was sitting back. He was very confident. Oh, if you want to know the fit chat, there are people, I think, graduating with their citizenship for the U.S. Congrats to the U.S. still letting people in. But this changes every single thing. Okay, so where do we start? Okay, Diddy came in. He had on that same tan sweater. Now, this is surprising because the judge said he can have 5 different sweaters. I think he's worn that tan one twice, but I guess that's his favorite one. Okay, he came in. He was color coordinating with his publicist. It's important to note none of the kids were there. I'm glad the publicist actually finally started listening and said, wait a second, this is a bad look. When you are talking about incredibly freaky, deaky, just not PG or family stuff, when you are talking about incredible violence, sitting there with your family, even your adult boys who still look like they're in their early 20s, looking stone-faced, kind of makes it seem like, I don't know, it's just a family of degenerates.
Yes,
None
right.
of the kids were there. I think that was a very, very good look. Diddy's publicist was there, looking super beautiful. And a dress that actually matched Diddy. It makes me wonder, are they color coordinating? Diddy, the seating chart, he was sitting next to Brian Steele, that is his boo-coo, Mark Garagos, but then when Teeny came, Teeny was the one that actually went. Teeny was the one that actually sat by him. Okay, so we all have that, right? Diddy seemed worried coming in, but as Dawn's testimony unfolded, he got a little. We're about to get into the testimony, but let me just say this. When it comes to legal, law is not win or decided with one testimony unless there's a smoking gun, right? It's a house and you build it brick by brick. Everybody's testimony builds to make a story, a web so strong that there is no way that you can escape. Okay, so keep in mind when one person has a bad day of testimony, unless that testimony bad is Diddy, because he is the main person, one testimony will not make or break. Keep in mind, we are on day 6. This is expected to go all the way to July 4th. Some people even say that's going to go to July 18th. Keep in mind that Diddy's team has 2 weeks to come on to their defense. Now, a couple of interesting things that happened. We know some of the people that is going to be testifying. Okay, they name dropped Capricorn Clark. They name dropped in somebody named Mia. Of course, that is an alias. We
Y'all, and I thought Capricorn Clark and Mia were the same person. I kept saying somebody named CC, but she gonna be an alias named Mia. But evidently I was wrong. Here we go. Wait a minute, come on.
have a bunch more people. It is shaping up who is going to be on Diddy's side and who is not. Now, listen, they didn't say that Diddy's head of security, or at that time head of security, D-Rock, would actually be named as a co-conspirator. However, his name came up a lot. Diddy's team brought it up a lot. It seemed like Diddy's team was kind of be like, oh my God, D-Rock didn't do anything. But also low-key, whenever they said somebody's name, there was an instant, but they were like, who else was there? And Dawn was like, security. Who was security? Roger Bonds, and at that time, D-Rock. So they asked to enter in the pictures of D-Rock in the evidence, and they put it on the screen. And they were like, do you know who's on the screen? And she was like, that's D-Rock, right? The funny thing is, D-Rock's tip picture, he looked like America's Most Wanted. He looked like just untrustworthy. They picked the worst picture they could pick to make him look shifty as all get out. Then they were like, do you recognize who that person is? And she's like, yeah, that's Roger Bonds. Roger Bonds' picture was sitting there with $1 million Hollywood smile. He looked so wholesome, so happy. He had a face a mother would love and trust. I said, you know what? The prosecution is kin, and I'm here for it. Baby, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that when you get into yeah.
Just FYI, y'all, I would be skipping a little bit, okay? Because, yeah, I'll be skipping just a little bit. Hope y'all don't mind. Okay, let's see.
Out of my pocket is a love story to you guys. Everything from security to accommodation to the fits. So I really enjoy you guys, and thank you for helping me last week to actually extend my trip. We're gonna go all the way to the top. All right, let's get into this Dawn stuff. Oh, thank you. It's good to see you too, Mama. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let me sit down because it's windy and I got on like a tennis skirt and that thing is blowing up. So let me just sit down before I give everybody a real show. Okay, so where are we at with this? Okay, y'all like this? Y'all like the curls? Y'all like the thing? Right? Once I discovered half wigs 2 years ago, I was like, not wigs, but half wigs. I was like, I ain't never straighten and curling my hair again. There is Miss Morgan. That might be Capricorn Clark. There is Kid Cudi's name came up. Mr. James's name came up. Who else? Capricorn Clark, Roger Bonds, James Diamond. James. Of course, Dawn, she was testifying. Again, Harvey Pierre is going to be a co-conspirator, right? To overcome hearsay because specific threats made to Dawn with violence. There was also David James. I think that was actually James, okay? It was USA Attorney Slonick that was doing the questions. I thought she did an amazing job. Who else did they talk about? Oh, they talked about the chef. The chef, I believe, is Chef Robles. It looks like she is going to be testifying against Diddy, of course. Listen, the defense tried to get a lot of this testimony barred. However, they did get a lot of testimony actually taken in, you know? Listen, everybody hit the like button. You know I'm trying to grow. Please, the encouragement means so much. All right, let's get into this. Now, listen, some people say that Dawn was useless. Let's get into it because I don't think so. Honeybee said, God bless you, Tisa, for all that you do. Excellent reporting. Now, listen, let me be clear. Dawn seemed like at first that she was actually changing her story. Malika Garrett, thank you so much for the super chat. Where my bumblebees at? I'm sitting by the grass. The other day when we were here, there were giant, cute little chubby, furry bumblebees flying around. I said, ooh, good luck. Anyway, right? I was stalking a bumblebee on my live. Cousin Pam said the fit is fitting and the hair is giving. That girl, love it. Oh, thank you. Okay, so listen. We need to say this before we get into Dawn's testimony because I'm always going to be hard. Was it the strongest? No. Okay. Because, Miss Westmoreland, that is the black woman on Diddy's team. She is very, very excellent. Okay. She did a great job. I see why Brian Still and her work closely together. Her, Xavier, and Brian Still are on the MF money, right? They are a problem that the prosecution needs to get on their thing. The rest of Diddy's team, okay, whatever, right? But I definitely think that they are a problem. So where are we? Where are we?
She said the prosecution, the rest of the prosecution, I mean the defense or whatever.
Oh, thank you, Mama. So where are we at with this? Okay, let's get into Dawn's testimony, right? Okay. So, first of all, the U.S. attorney starts off and they talk about the Dawn with the egg skillet and Diddy calling us back. She says, can you take us through that again? Okay. Crystal Cove, thank you so much for the super chat, right? Um, uh, 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 Listen. Also, that studio, hotels, and house. And studios, the hotels, and of course, Daddy's house, Diddy's house, whatever. They said Daddy's house was the studio. She said she saw frequent violence. And they asked, what was the violence? She said, I saw him punch Cassie in the mouth and stomach. I saw him choke her. I saw him drag her. Now, pay attention to this testimony, right? Y'all know I'm going to give the dramatic reinterpretation. I'm trying to get a good angle. I'm like sitting in the sun. I'm trying to give the dramatic reinterpretation, but honestly, y'all, like, I think a lot of people will say this wasn't good. I didn't see it like that. I saw this as the prosecution prepping all the witnesses to be completely honest, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. No need to play to the crowd. No need to put 20 on 10. Tell them what you felt and try. I thought that Cassie and Dawn were very, very truthful. And let me just listen to this, right? But again, she got tripped up with Miss Westmoreland, and there were some parts that I was like, ooh, there were some parts where I was like, ooh.
What is Peter glazing? Could you write that out for me, sir? I mean, I don't know what that means. Oh, sorry, y'all.
I fear Miss Westmoreland just ate Dawn all the way up. Okay, we got to call a spade a spade. All right. She said, "Why did Cassie do that? Did hit?" And she said, "Why?" Anytime she spoke up, she said Cassie was super, super soft spoken. It was random. If she wanted to perform, if she had an opinion, if she opened her mouth, Diddy would be like, pop, 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 right? Pop, 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 pop. Anyway, right? Again, Cassie was very quiet and soft-spoken. She said that they were like, well, how come you didn't stick up for her? This is prosecution still testifying, questioning Don. She was like, yo, I felt like if I spoke up, if this is the way he treated his girl that he was supposed to love, what was he going to do to me? Someone that he didn't know he was giving an opportunity. And to be honest with you, I needed that dirty money stuff, right? She said, who was present when she was beaten? She said, Capricorn Clark, Harvey Pierre, and Mia. I have it on good authority that Capricorn Clark is testifying for the prosecution. Harvey Pierre, we don't know yet. He might have flipped, but it sounds.
Yeah, this is just going to be a quick recap, okay? Just a recap. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Oh, dang. Could y'all please hit the like button? Please like it. I just don't feel too good today. And subscribe if you haven't.
Like he was actually testifying. And then, of course, you got Mia, right? Mia testifying for the prosecution. Okay. Those are the people that witnessed this. They said Mia and Capricorn were Diddy's assistants and the head of Brown work. It makes me think, is Mia KK? Because how many other assistants did this man have? Was that KK? Jay also said D-Rock and bonds for security. Again, that's where the prosecution started keying, and they put up a dirtbag picture of D-Rock. The government was keying, all this other stuff. Putting up a picture of Roger Bonds looking so wholesome and happy. I said, okay, I see what you guys are going. They said that what would happen when Diddy hit Cassie. They said nobody would do anything. Security wouldn't even respond. They said, where did she hit her? I saw him hit her in the face, the lips, the eyes, the knees, right? Did Cassie use clothing and glasses to cover up? They said at the festival to announce Dirty Money, there was a particularly horrifying scene. They were getting ready in Diddy's New York City apartment, right? And Cassie and Diddy were arguing in the hallway right outside of, we're arguing in the hallway. Y'all see the federal building? We're arguing in the hallway right outside of the bathroom where Kalina and Dawn were doing their makeup, okay? They said, Dawn said she saw Diddy punch Cassie in the face with a closed fist. Cassie went into the bathroom. I guess the door was open. Cassie went into the bathroom crying, and she was just looking for some way.
On the studio? They were filming? Oh my God.
Just some way to make sense of it, okay? Listen. Dawn said she saw Cassie's eyes swelling. Cassie literally started going to work doing makeup to hide. She said she wore sunglasses, right? She said she remained by Cassie's side after the beating, right? There was a picture that the prosecution put up when Cassie was wearing sunglasses, Dawn was wearing sunglasses, and Kalina were wearing sunglasses, and none of them took the sunglasses off because they said they did that in solidarity with Cassie. Okay. She also said there was a 2010 incident. Antonia, thank you so much. You said thank you for all you do. I love your commentary. Thank you, Antonia. There was a 2010 incident in a West Hollywood restaurant. They said Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. There were people from Bad Boy Label. There were celebrities. Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. They were like, who was there that worked for Diddy? And Dawn was like, because the prosecution only asked her, and this is important to remember, who was there that worked for Diddy? Victoria Anderson, thank you so much for the super chat. Dawn said HP, right? Harvey Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Mia, Roger Bonds, and also somebody called Glenn Harper, right?
Dang. I don't know Glenn Harper. Dang, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But anyway, y'all.
They showed a picture of Harvey Pierre. They put up a picture of him looking sinister in a suit, looking like Lex Luthor. I said the prosecution is king. They said Harvey Pierre answered to Diddy. He did nothing about intervening, but Harvey Pierre got in the car to head. So they all got in the car, the little Sprinter bus, to head back to the LA house. Kimberly Coins, thank you so much for the super chat. They were arguing. D-Rock was driving. Diddy was sitting next to Cassie. Dawn and Kalina were sitting in the last seat, right? Romel P, thank you so much for the super chat. She said out the blue, Diddy literally grabbed Cassie by the neck and slapped her. Listen, slapped her mouth and told her to shut the F up. And everybody went quiet for the rest of the trip, all right? Now, she said Cassie had big dreams. She wanted to make an album. She wanted to be a superstar. Diddy didn't like when they talked to Cassie about anything. Diddy didn't like when they talked to Cassie about the album. Nicola, thank you so much for the super chat.
He didn't want Cassie to grow and make her own living so she could get out from under that mess.
Yella Johnson, you said thanks for what you do. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much for all the funding. Okay, so what else happened? Diddy would be calm. Sometimes Diddy would be calm. Sometimes he would be angry, volatile. It really didn't matter whether he was calm or volatile. One thing for certain was he was hitting Cassie out the blue in front of everybody, and everybody would just act like it didn't happen. They said when that happened, Cassie just looked out the window sad for the rest of the thing. Latoya Neely, thank you so much for the super chat.
Whose side are y'all on so far? And also, surprise, witness today, Gene Deal is supposed to testify, y'all. That's what I heard, and that's what I read just now. Yeah. Oh, shit. Girl. Okay.
Listen, now Kalina did say whenever she got Cassie alone, she would tell Cassie, yo, you should you are a victim. You should 100% leave, right? Diddy was made aware of the discussion because Cassie Ventura would tell Diddy, yo, they told me to leave you, right? Diddy went up to her and said, yo, you better stay the MF out of my relationship. You're here to work. Listen, and he also, Harvey Pierre and Diddy both said, if y'all keep going at this, trying to make Cassie leave me, things are going to get very dark and sinister for you, right?
Y'all, and Harvey Pierre, he is so, they say they think he is still, he's going to be a co-conspirator watch. He's going to be sitting right there with Diddy. That's what yeah.
And that they would pay for it. The consequences for not staying in line. Listen, anyway, they said Harvey Pierre would speak to her and say, this is going to get dark and lonely for you if you don't start listening to Diddy and leave Cassie alone. But she said she couldn't because what she saw and witnessed was beyond brutal. Now, I'm just telling you, this is what dawned with the prosecution. We are about to get to the defense where Miss Westmoreland did her thing. But I think that the prosecution came back and did a good job of explaining everything all over again. Abjit Bunder, thank you so much for the super chat. And also Ashley Poole, 3161. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so listen. Good job, team. Love watching you. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, y'all.
Whenever he took Cassie in the room alone, he liked for it to be spread on his bosom. if you will. Do you see how this is all tying together? You see
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And I get
Yes.
it. But it made when I remember I said it's a house, not like a it's a brick by brick is how you build justice. All these little details are leading credence to past testimony. Why, if Cassie was the grown woman that completed anatomy, were you in charge of making her take Plan B whenever you wanted? Were you in charge of making her take birth control? What Cassie didn't even have, as a grown woman, like the defense said, complete autonomy even over her body. BB said, as a DV and child SA survivor, your work has been healing to my soul. Oh, BB, thank you so much. Sending healing energy to you for subject, right? So, what else happened, right?
Yeah,
They said this person that supplied Diddy traveled.
Diddy giving Cassie her birth control pills and the plan stuff. So when the man, you know what, Cassie can get it out and put it on his chest and stuff. Okay.
Everywhere, right? Both domestic and international. It was in an LV little happy sack. Diddy never changed his way. Let's not forget Brandon was taken with like a little happy sack, probably LV too. They said that Diddy offered drugs to Dana DeCane. I'm not Dana Kane, to Dawn, Kalina, and Cassie Ventura. Dawn says, I never took drugs. I mean, I smoked a little weed, but I didn't take drugs, okay? The defense was like, on the cross was like, you never took drugs? Dawn was like, I mean, I pretended to sometimes, but I really never took them. And I said, shout out to me. I'm drug free too, baby. I know how that is. Everybody partying, and you're like, yeah, I'll see you guys, right? They said, Dawn only saw, she said that she saw a gun with Diddy in the studio. Now, multiple people have said that Diddy stayed with that hammer on them. On top of that, please let us remember, and this is the most shocking thing, they found how many choppers in Diddy's LA home when they raided it with the serial numbers
Exactly.
filed off in the closet. Like, get out of here, right?
Listen how the prosecutor asking these, I guess they have to ask these dumb questions.
Right? She said Diddy kept his gun in his lower waist bag. D-Rock and Roger Bonds also kept them hammers in their lower back. She said it was a fearful environment until 2000, until they left. She said that she was a singer. Diddy would always reach out to her only when she was doing good. And first, he would try to FaceTime her. She wouldn't answer. He would keep having more and more. Honeybee Bears, thank you so much for the super chat. Diddy would keep having more and more and more reach out to her until she finally answered, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said because she knew the way Diddy rolled, she was always pleasant and kind to Diddy. They said that when she left, Diddy and Harvey Pierce said, you better not expose anything that you found out or there will be problems. She said in 2024, after Cassie filed her lawsuit, in 2023, she was ready to share. She filed a civil lawsuit. She talked about the treatment of others. The lawsuit is still pending. She's not aware of any settlement money that was demanded, but she is expecting justice. But she has not received any compensation so far for her work and music from Diddy. Sherry Hunt, welcome to the Tattletales, right? So anyway, listen. At that point, this is my note. Dawn seems really good, right? She can't be moved. She has a great tone. She's in control of phrasing. And that's when things went off the rails. So Westmoreland was like, so you said in your civil suit that you saw him hit Cassie with a frying pan, right? And when you spoke to the U.S. attorneys, you said that he attempted to hit Cassie with a frying pan. So which is it? And at one point you said you heard him do it. So which is it? Was it attempted? Did you see it? Or was it heard, right? V. Roman niece said he needs to give it up. Now, right? They said, now when this happened, Diddy sat back because he was enjoying all this. He really thought that Dawn was getting discredited. I didn't see it because in my mind, I was like, you're cherry picking random details, which honestly wasn't a good look that she couldn't remember. But at the end of the day, sorry, y'all, she's cherry picking random details. But at the end of the day, like, you're not talking about any of the other violence. But you're saying, like, okay, I may have hit her 99 times, but that one time I didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess, right? Then they went into
talking about the frying pan. Dawn said she heard it hit the wall, but the other time she said he swung at Cassie but missed her. But all the rest of it, Dawn said it again. Cassie hit the floor, he drug upstairs by her hair, kicked in the head, all that kind of stuff. So Dawn still had everything right except the darn frying pan, okay?
Okay. She said the Miss Marlon was like, "Do you know the difference between hitting versus throwing?" And Dom was like, "Yeah, I do." And she said, "Do you know the difference between throwing eggs and throwing a pan?" And I'm like, "Okay, like what issue are you making? If somebody says they hit you in the head with a pan, or threw the pan at you, or threw the hot eggs from the pan, at the end of the day, you inflicted violence, right? Okay, it's right. She actually threw eggs, right? Now they said they're hearing, and then she did say, okay, but one time you testified you heard the pan hit the wall. Now
See?
that was a little damaging because I was like, there's a big difference between hearing a
Yeah,
pan
it is a
hit the
difference,
wall
but still.
and actually seeing something. So Nino 676. Oh, well, Lisa, good morning. First of all, oh, thank you. Always love your outfits. Thank you for super chat. You are amazing. I love your professionalism. For like decades old. It's for very, very simple reason. Because the more you ask people stuff, the more they remember,
Yeah.
especially if it's trauma that they want to push to the back of the head. But honestly, even with like an ex that I couldn't stand, people had to remind me that stuff actually happened. Because as time goes, you literally do forget stuff. But the more you talk to people around it, the more you start, the more it comes back. That is literally the meaning.
And I'm sure it's happened to many of us, okay? All right.
Of recollection. Honestly, but I ask you what happened, like, and even if it was traumatic things you actually tend to push out. Again, not making excuses for Dawn, but things typically like that happen. Jazz Fit said, "Love you, preach." Thank you so much, Jazz. Okay, so they also had, so they said, okay, you had like 8 interviews with the U.S. attorneys, and Dawn was like, yeah. And she said, you forgot to say that you felt that he said people go missing, and Dawn was like, no, that's not true. I said it a few times, but it took me a time to jog my memory, right? You said, appreciate you and your work. Love and peace from Germany. Thank you so much. Let me tell you something. I really honestly do feel with that they literally are having a key too. Because at the end of the day, she did tell the U.S. Attorney's Office that she feared for her life with Diddy. Okay.
Yeah.
She said there was other incidents of hitting with D-Rock, Cassie, of course, Capricorn Clark, which is, so then they asked about, what about the time when you said Diddy got punched in the, no, Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. Hey, how you doing? Oh, thank you. So I was like, what about the time when they are saying like, Cassie, no, she said, listen, I saw Cassie get punched in the stomach in a restaurant in West Hollywood, and there were celebrities and, staff around. So then the prosecution was like, really? There were celebrities? She was like, yes. She was like, who was there? She said, Jimmy Levine, Ajay, Jimmy Levine, Neil Kane, all these people. And she was like, oh, how come you didn't mention that the first time? And she's like, because prosecution asked me who were the employees. And she's like, oh, so you just forgot all these celebrities? And she was like, no, they didn't ask me. Again, when you are on the stand, you must only answer the questions that you were asked.
Trying to trip up. Dawn said not today.
If I ask you what you ate for breakfast, you cannot tell me in any way what you ate for lunch. Do you feel me? Y'all feel me, right? Anyway, right? They spotted. So then she was like, you also said that Cassie was drug up through the grass. And she was like, I never said that. And they were like, you didn't say that? And she's like, no, that was a miscommunication from my thing. So here's the thing, right? I saw what she was doing. She was trying to impeach her. But as much people say that Dawn got caught lying, is Dawn was caught lying? The lawyer, Miss Westmoreland, who's very, very good, right? She would have, Brian Still's whole team, or the people, I don't know if she's on this team, but they definitely clicked up, right? The lawyer would have impeached her. Dawn did not get impeached. She had a good excuse for why she couldn't remember, even though she's like, you kept changing your story. You guys, can we get out of habit? Just because somebody says you're having an affair, if the witness said, I'm not having an affair, and the lawyer keeps referring to it as an affair, that doesn't make it an affair. The same way if she said, oh, your story changed, no, it evolved over time. And again, that's why the police, when they interview witnesses or suspects for even a crime. The police and the detectives visit you multiple times. You don't just sit there, right?
No. Y'all, please hit that like button. Thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thank you from Valentine TV.
You don't just sit there
Oh Lord. Valentine TV.
and keep going, more and more and more. You don't just say, "Oh, we already talked to you." You keep going. Anyway, Lisa McCloud, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, also, I want to say what's up to Stacy. Stacy said you're awesome and working hard. No cameras in the bathroom, and she was like, "Oh, well, what about when y'all was in the hallway?" And she was like, to literally trip up Kalina, and they were like, "Yo, what about the time when you interviewed?" No, you told the government that you saw Cassie being punched in the face. And she's like, that is correct. And she was like, but was it not being filmed? And Dawn was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, when it was that festival, wasn't the cameras there? Weren't you being filmed all the time? And she was like, yeah. And she's like, so how did they not catch the punch? And Dawn was like, there was no cameras in the bathroom. And she was like, oh, well, what about when y'all was in the hallway? And she was like, yeah. But even then, I can answer that. What if the camera? Why would because she was like Cassie and Diddy were thing. Why would Cassie and Diddy start arguing on cameras for a TV show when they're trying to be making dirty money? They were trying to be the golden couple. Let's also not forget that a lot of stuff from Making of the Band was filmed. And where's that now? Anyway, Black Sheep said, T, you're smashing it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. So anyway, literally, I was just like, okay, now Westmoreland is dragging out.
Yeah.
Why on earth would cameras be filming Cassie and Diddy arguing when they were trying to be on their Beyonce Jay-Z stuff before Beyonce it was Jay-Z, right? Listen. Anyway, she said Kalina witnessed everything. Listen, I did make a note that I don't think that Kalina is the best witness until the prosecution got up and rehabbed the witness, right? First of all, the prosecution tried to even draw doubt on whether Diddy had a gun. It's known Diddy carried a gun. Diddy would tell people he carried a gun. Anyway, Lisa McClung said, I gifted a membership. This is my second super chat. Oh, mentioned you saw Diddy with a gun. She said, because I wasn't asked by the feds. And she said, did you ever see Diddy pull the gun out? She said, no. Did you ever see you wave it? No. Did you ever see it cock it and put bullets in it? And I said, are we reenacting a scene from Tombstone? I'm your Huckleberry. What is this? A Clint Eastwood, John Wayne cowboy music? Did I ever see him cock it, put bullets in? Is this a Silence of the Lambs? Kaiser Sosa? Where are you going with this? It sounds like she's dragging it. Did you ever see him wave it? She said, no. I just saw it in the back of his waistband because that's the way. I'm paraphrasing now.
Y'all notice how people carry it when so they can just reach back.
Well, I'm adding my own opinion now because that's the way that people that carry guns that when they're really planning to use them, that's the way they carry them. They literally wave it in the air and act like they don't care, right? They don't wave it in the air. They don't cock it. They don't put bullets in it. That's the way that they act, right? So Mesquite said prosecution needs to get Justin's coach who he attacked. Exactly. I would like to see that. Impressive. Love your coverage. Keep it up, girl. Of course, Steve aside, you're doing the damn thing. Thank you so much. So also, they were like, okay, let's talk about the drugs you talk about. She said, so you pretended to do drugs. She said, yeah, I did. But this falls, and she backed off of that because she realized it. This falls into the point of, if you were Diddy, he demanded everybody get high. And the only way to get around it was to fake it. Why else would you?
But they kept saying it was Cassie making him that got him hooked on it, right?
You fake doing drugs unless you're in an environment where you need to be coerced. She agreed her story didn't change but evolved. They also she said when she was threatened by Diddy, she actually reached out to Diddy because and she said, but you reached out to him, and she's like, yes, I did. So they were like, okay, no further questions. So I made notes and said, she responded kindly. She still needed him. She reached out to Diddy, right? And there was a time she said there was a time that she was asked to reach out to him. And she said, and the girl was like, oh, so you initiated contact? And I said, okay. They said, in fact, you reached out on several occasions. And she was like, I mean, a little bit. And she said, oh, so you were, again, I saw it as her being scared that Diddy was an industry gatekeeper and she needed to work with them. Stephanie Cooper said, "Hi, first time and love how you bringing it." Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you. They said in 2009 they dismantled Dirty Money. Let me speak through this. Then they tried to play her and be like, "You never reached the success you have with Dirty Money." And Kalina was like, "I have been a successful musician." She's like, "Oh, not as successful." She's like, "No, I have had success and I continue to have success." Nancy Bermudez Gamble, thank you so much for the super chat. They said, "You asked to be signed as a solo artist at Diddy." She said, "That's true." And she said, "So you felt like Diddy ruined your career and you were angry about it." She said, "I did feel like Diddy ruined my career, but I was more saddened by it." Also, Nino 676 0LI said, "What people forget is them guns have serial numbers that were scratched off. So not only is he dealing sex trafficking, he might have run charges too." Exactly. I think those might fall under the criminal organization, right? And anyway, they said that she said, "Oh, he ruined your career not once but twice." And I said, "Okay, but isn't this proving everything?" And she said that he succeeded in the past. Now they compensate for work to put forth. Anyway, so then the U.S. attorney asks a series of U.S. Slavnik asks a series of questions about employment and working for Dana DeCabe. They said, "Why did you sue in the civil lawsuit?" She said, "Because I was in an environment not conducive for an employee. That's why she didn't want to come back." And she said she never discussed how much she was paid, even though, to be fair, I could have sworn that she said that Dirty Money would get paid. Diddy would get paid $250,000 for a Chirac appearance, and Dirty Money would only get paid $5,000, right?
Oh.
Anyway, Lourdes Soto said, "First time you're doing amazing." I want to say one thing. Dawn looked super pretty. She had on like a Cab Calloway suit with a tie and a duster in the prettiest way. She was wearing like a beige. It's named Diddy Dirty Money for a reason. Can y'all hear me? Then why? Right, Cassie. She said, "No. Do you have any doubt that Cassie laid in the fetal position?" Absolutely not. "Do you have any doubt that he dragged Cassie up the stairs by her hair and you heard screaming and breaking glass?" No. "Do you have any doubt that you were threatened to stay quiet?" She said, "Absolutely not." Right. And what's Hollywood? "Did I ask you what employees or what celebrities were there?" She said, "You asked me what employees were there, ma'am." Then they said, "When you said that Cassie was pulled and dragged across the grass, you misspoke." She said, "Yeah." She said, "What did you mean?" Stephanie Cooper said, "Hey, I can hold the cam for you. I could use a job. Stephanie, email me." She said, she said, "I saw Cassie get grabbed by the neck and her head was slammed into the window and Cassie just looked straight." She said, "For making of the band, why did you reach out to Diddy to work with them?" She said, "Because I wanted to reconnect with Lori Gibson. I knew there was a making of the band reality show that Diddy wasn't going to be involved in. And Lori Ann Gibson told me to reach out to Diddy. And if Diddy said, oh, he didn't mind, she could work together." She said, "I wanted a relationship with Lori Ann Gibson. I contacted Puff on her directive. Lori Ann told her to reach out to Diddy directly. Kalina," she said, "Why did you say you wanted to get Dirty Money back?" And she said, "I did it for a friend." She said, "Kalina was having issues and I wanted to get back in the band." She said, "I was really just trying to help out a friend because Kalina was in a really, really dark place. And like, I really wanted to help her out. I know she regretting it because now Kalina done turned on her, right?" Yeah. And she said, "I really didn't want to go back. It wasn't a good environment. It was disgusting, right?" Now, at this point, Diddy is sitting there reviewing notes, getting mad and mad and mad. You know, he passed some notes down to Miss Westmoreland. And unlike Tinny Gargos and Mark Agnafilio, that every time Diddy passed them a dumb note, they actually read it. Hey, what's up? Every time he passed him a dumb note, he actually reads it. She looked at those notes that he passed to Miss Westmoreland, read on them, folded them and put them to the side and never looked at it again, baby. She said, "Diddy, you ain't ruined this. This is my reputation. I'm going to do what I do." Anyway, I literally said, "Well, let's see if she uses it." Anyway, yeah, that is what happened. Desiree Howard said, "I took myself out to lunch away from the office just so I can listen to you in peace." Thank you so much. And Elevated Associates, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, "Oh, some feels likely." Anyway.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
But Detroit do be getting those chocolate Barbies. Anyway, listen. I do want to say this, right? Yeah. Listen, Westmoreland did a good job today. Diddy's defense. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all know I will bring it to y'all straight, whatever. it made the people that want to doubt Dawn a little bit more. But on the other hand, hold on, I'm back. Sorry, guys. So anyway, she did what needed to be done. She was super good. But do you know why? She did what's supposed to happen. Ooh, in Perez said, "Oh my God, love your coverage. Keep it up, girl." Of course, Diddy was side-eyeing you. Thank you. That he broke up in November. Cassie and Alex were not exclusive. They were literally some homie lover friends. At first it was homies, then it turned to lovers, and the rest is written in history. Diddy knew that too. That's why he started posting Cassie a lot, because he was trying to mark his territory. But even Diddy's defense actually says that after October, there were no more romantic messages at all between him and Cassie. This tracks with the timeline that Alex and Cassie started like really getting serious around the end of November, sometime mid-December, right? On top of that,
So they time never Cassie being with Diddy and Alex, the time never overlapped each other. No, she didn't cheat on anybody. Okay. All right, so that's it. She's about to run back in there so she can catch Gene Deal trying to, and that's it for me. And I hope y'all. I know this was quick, y'all. I get myself together, okay? Just thank y'all for joining me, the ones who did, and I hope y'all can hit the like button. I'll be better next time, I promise. I just something's going on with me. I don't know. But anyway, I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here with me, and I will see y'all later. Okay? Thank y'all. Bye.